What in the world is the difference between dynamic and static stretching? I've heard that I should be stretching before a workout. Okay, well, let's talk about that. Should you? And if you should, what type of stretching should you do? Should you do dynamic or static stretching? So let's dive into this. So, static stretching, in its essence, is holding a joint in a fixed range of motion for a long period of time. Now, when I say long period of time, I don't mean you're holding this thing for ages. I mean you are holding it roughly for probably 30 to 60 seconds, okay? So long is obviously a very subjective term, but longer than no time, I should say. So holding a joint in a fixed range of motion, so what does that mean? So basically, let's say I'm stretching my fingers here. If I take my index finger here and pull it back into position, I'm holding it in that position, in that stretch position as the joint, and that's a static stretch. So I'm just literally holding the joint in a position. If I let go, it's going to kind of spring back into that position, as you can see there. So static stretching can be applied to joints throughout the entire body, not just your fingers. That's obviously just what I was showing you so you could get kind of a idea of it. But the thing about static stretching that I need you to pay attention to and need you to realize is that doing this type of stretching before certain workouts can actually hinder your muscular performance. So let's break that down a little bit. So when it comes to static stretching, a lot of people don't realize that if you do this type of stretching before a workout, it can reduce the muscle's ability to produce power and speed. So kind of these athletic components where we're trying to move a weight fast and quick. Maybe we are about to play a pickup game of basketball with our friends and we need to be obviously moving quickly. Static stretching, maybe it's with your legs, maybe it's with your arms, where you're simply holding a joint in that position before these types of activities will literally shoot yourself in the foot when it comes to performance. I wouldn't say it's necessarily dangerous, like you're not really going to hurt yourself, but you are going to be leaving some performance in your muscle on the table. So these are the best to do after a workout or maybe after a game where you are just trying to cool down and let the muscle relax a little bit. The good thing about this though, that I should say, is that this won't really affect muscular growth. And actually there are some interesting studies done where people stretch in between sets of a muscle building workout, and they actually show slightly increased muscle in a few studies. Obviously this can be probably disproven in some, but there is some promising results that stretching in between sets or maybe even stretching before a workout might actually help to improve muscle size. So it's a really interesting thing where maybe if you want bigger muscles but you don't want them to be stronger, you could stretch before a workout. I don't know, it'd be something to try. I don't know why you would want that though. You're kind of building a useless muscle if you ask me. So let's talk about what you should probably and ideally do before a workout instead of doing those static stretches. So dynamic stretching is usually what we recommend to do before a workout. And when I say dynamic stretching, just right off the bat, it's not really stretching, okay? So it has stretching in the name. It's not really stretching though. It's just basically moving a joint through a full range of motion with absolutely no load. So this can involve a series of different exercises all kind of combined together in a certain routine. And with this, you can get really creative. So maybe you're going to kind of mimic some of your normal strength movements that you do in a workout routine. So let's say you're doing squats, for example, and you want to do a static warm-up for a squat. Now, when you are doing a static warm-up, or excuse me, a dynamic warm-up, static stretching's after. A dynamic warm-up for a squat, apologies for that. Maybe you're going to do a squat with your body weight. And then once you come out of that squat, you're going to do a reach to the sky with your hands. So you're squatting and then reaching up, squatting, reaching up. So you're essentially doing a squat with a overhead press with no load. Maybe you're going to do the same movement, but do a squat with a twist and a reach. So squat with a twist and a reach behind you. And that would be considered another type of dynamic stretching. So very slowly, very controlled in manner, you are doing very similar movements to what you do in a workout, basically with no load and large ranges of motion, trying to move your entire body through this position. So the interesting and kind of neat thing, I suppose, about dynamic stretching is that you can also hold a static stretch in these movements to some degree. So for example, let's say you are doing the squat we just talked about, where you're doing a squat with a reach to the sky. A way you can make this into a somewhat static stretch is maybe you're doing a squat hold for a second at the bottom. So you're kind of passively holding that position, and then you move into that reach to the sky. So it's still fairly dynamic, but you can get a little more, I should say, stretching work by holding those positions as well. And these are the best to do before workouts. These will greatly improve the muscle's ability to be strong, have proper power, and if you are running and doing something where you need to be fast, it's going to help you with that as well. So as we've discussed here, static stretching is the best to do after a workout, and this dynamic stretching is the best to do before a workout. If you do one before a workout, let's say you flip this and you're like, is all my progress going to be lost? No, we're just talking about making the best out of your time in the gym and ultimately helping you become the fittest version of yourself. And that's the way to do it. Static stretching after, dynamic before. Like the video if you learned something new, gain some value from it.